Hi, my name is Alan from USA Sports, which is an acronym for Urethane Sports Armor. This is a video made specifically for Mr. David Kurland and Mr. Arthur Blank. We are a small new company in Florida that have designed basically a new device that is going to stop probably most of the concussions in youth football. My team consists of myself with extensive background in marketing, engineering, and the automobile business. My business partners are Nancy Quick, who has 30 years experience with multiple companies and corporations in the manufacturing industry, and Dr. Gary Gieske, who is a neurologist in Fort Lauderdale and the former neurosurgeon and neurologist for the Miami Dolphins for about 15 years. We have come together on a project here which is basically to stop all the injuries coming from concussions with youth football. We're specifically focusing on football, and I know the Arthur Blank Foundation has done tremendous things for a lot of good causes, and we feel that this would be a really great partnership as far as what you're trying to accomplish and what we're trying to accomplish. We're not doing this right now for the money, let's say, is the perfect way to say it. We're doing this more of a legacy, trying to create something that's going to solve the #1 problem in football. It's the most talked about thing going on right now is CTE. And unfortunately, CTE can't be diagnosed until after the death of the patient. But we now know that in the past year or two, with all that's known about CTE and about concussion protocol, that concussions are now linked to so many other diseases, Parkinson's, it just goes on down the line. So, that being said, I've given you a little bit of background on who we are, and now I'm going to give you the background on how the idea came to me. One day, approximately a year ago, when this first started, when the CTE movie with Dr. Bennett Amalu came out with Will Smith, the concussion movie, and every other thing you would read in the newspaper was about CTE and about how concussions are now causing all the injuries in football, and they've changed the protocol, and they've changed, the NFL has actually changed the way they've done things. So that's all well and good, but what are they doing for the kids? There's a lot more kids that play football than the amount of players that are in the NFL. So I was driving down the road, and I happened to see what was lying on the side of the road was a urethane bumper from a car that had been in an accident, had been torn off, and it was just lying on the side of the road. And I had the idea that I wonder if I could develop something with urethane, now that 3D printing is available. I could develop something with urethane that would act as an energy dispersal device for a football helmet. So right now, two things have to happen to stop the concussions and stop the injuries with the kids in football, which no one's really putting at the front of the line, is that either the sport has to change the rules or the equipment has to change. We don't think that the rules are going to change in football. You're still going to need a helmet to play. There's still going to be severe impacts, severe hits. So the next step, the other choice, is obviously to change the equipment. Now, years ago, they used to play football with leather helmets. And then every once in a while, someone would sustain a skull fracture. So the helmet, like all other sports, has developed into stopping those massive injuries. So what my opinion is, my personal opinion, is that the helmets are inherently made of the wrong material. The helmets act like pool balls and smash off of each other, creating a rebound effect, causing more G-forces which are what cause the brain to slide through its fluid, smashing the inside of the skull, causing a concussion. So what we've done is, instead of developing a new helmet, there's plenty of companies working on that, but unfortunately new helmets cost between $300 to, we're hearing $1,500, $1,700 a piece. Now, in my opinion, that's not an easy way to solve the biggest problem, because how many people can afford to spend that kind of money on a kid's football helmet? So what we've done is we've come up with a way that we can retrofit every single football helmet, bicycle helmet, hockey helmet, you name it. We're focused on football, and we can retrofit the football helmet for between $20 and $30. Now, what my Mowhawk device does is it disperses the energy. Behind me, you see I built a rig that will test and show you right here how much this works. On one of the helmets, these are two standard youth helmets, brand new helmets. On one of the helmets, you'll see the small black device, and that is an accelerometer. And what an accelerometer does is it measures, that one is set up to measure G-force. So for those of us who don't know what G-forces are the multiplication of the force of gravity, and approximately 100 G's, or G-forces, seems to be about the consensus that is a concussion. If you sustain a 100 G impact to the head, you're going to have a concussion. Now, in a lot of cases it's less. It depends on what they call the deflection. But for the most part, it's 100 G's. So setting this all up and explaining this to you, I'm going to show you now how this transpired to the Mowhawk. When we first started about a year ago, we made a honeycomb urethane strip. And what the honeycomb does, obviously, is it disperses the energy in the middle. And we tested and we found that it's a little too stiff. So we changed the thickness of it. And then when we changed the thickness of the honeycomb, we realized that it wasn't the thickness, but it was the durometer that made the difference. So the durometer is the measurement of how elastic or how spongy something is. So we went from this being the solid urethane to now being able to 3D print what we call nesting. This is our patented process, and if you look carefully, you can see that there is air between the honeycomb. So this nesting process, if you'll notice, I'll take 3 pieces, and if you watch in my fingers, you can't squeeze this hardly at all. There's no flexibility to it. But when you nest it, it changes the durometer and it changes the elasticity. So that's how we developed this. Here's an early prototype where we've changed the durometer and used a softer material. But what we ended up doing is a combination of all. So this is the final product that we've come out with. Now this has just a temporary piece of 2-sided tape on it just to remove for the testing process. When it comes packaged to the parent or the school system or the town league, it will have a piece of industrial strength 2-sided tape on it. So in other words, to install this, you peel off the backing and you stick it on the helmet and you're done. Now the advantages to this are, first of all, this is urethane. So the urethane has an incredible amount of durability. This one unit, say that you put this on your son's helmet, this would last and we figure without testing long term, approximately 3 to 5 years. We haven't been able to test different materials because we're limited right now as far as what 3D printing is able to do. What we're looking to do is get the correct durometer and find out the sweet spot. Now, when I say sweet spot, you have different classifications of football. Like you have pee-wee football, where the kids can get up to probably 60 G impact. As they get older, they're able to run faster, and their muscles get stronger and they get heavier, so that impact increases. What we've basically seen is all the way up to high school, that 100 Gs, which is the concussion threshold basically, seems to be the impact available to the youth market up until 17 or 18 years old, when the kids get old enough to get out of high school and go to college. So what we need to do, what we're looking for the grant for, is a little more R&D to test new materials so that we can find the correct durometer for each individual weight class or town league or high school or college. Right now we're focused on the 100 G impact, which is what this rig is set up to do. And we're going to show you by just simply adding this device to the helmets how that changes. Now, a couple of things I want to talk about as far as what we've accomplished to this point. NOXI is the name of the government agency, and NOXI is an acronym for the National Operating Committee on Standards for Athletic Equipment.
Right there.